And welcome back to Zanpakuto Theory video. And today last week we talked about one member of the duo from the captain, what was it? The squad 3 captain, the new captain, Shusuke Amagage or Amagai, whatever, arc. Sorry, I can hear my dad singing distracted me. That was probably one of the most boring filler arcs of all of them, and that's including the Bount arc. But we did get a couple new characters and what they did. One of them we talked about last week. We'll talk about the other one of that duo who was protecting the princess. Ryūsei Kenzaki. Now, unlike the other one who was kind of like the silent muscle with a good heart, this guy was very much like, oh, I'm dedicated to this person. You're going to protect this person no matter what. You know, you had nothing to do with this. You're now involved, blah, blah, blah. Don't you dare talk to her like that. He's very much the stick up his ass guy. But he does have a unique Zanpakuto. His Zanpakuto is known as Benishidare, which translates, it's either Benishidare or Benishidare. I think it's Benishidare, which translates into Crimson Weeping Bow. So in seal form, it's a standard size katana. And its Shikai, which is Bloom Madly, it takes the form of a long black sword with like a white middle line going through it. But most importantly, it has 5 flowers attached to it. 2 on each side of the blade and 1 on top of the tip. It's as you can honestly see right here. Where the tip basically extends and then on the 2 sides of the actual blade. It's not a sword that's really designed for combat in terms of actual attack. It's a sword that's actually designed more for defense. Its special ability allows it to release pollen, which causes the flowers to bloom on its opponent's weapon, rendering it useless. The flowers will wither if the pollen's blown away. Kenryu can also scatter. Wait, what? Kenryu? Why is his name Kenryu all of a sudden? Kenryu can scatter the flowers on the blade to bind an enemy to aid of the princess's escape. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. Ryūchios? Whatever. Why is it Kenryu? Unless his name translates into another way. Hold on. Okay, he's referred to as Kenryu. My bad. So, yeah, Kenryu. We'll call him Kenryu. Much easier. He does have one technique that we know of, though. Is that known as Sage? Or Sange? Or it's either Sange or Sange. Sange. Or Sang. Scatter flowers. Benishidare's secondary ability. He can use the scattered flowers to rain down energy needles on his opponents. Kind of similar to Zembon actually, a little bit. At least in terms of pink. It's like pink energy needles, basically. So, then, what does the Bankai of this look like? Well, I think there's a few ways to go about this. One, you could just say that because it's clearly a Keto type Zanpakuto, it just creates a much larger effect of its Zanpakuto. Creates a lot more flowers, a lot more pollen. The pollen is a lot harder to displace. Maybe it's giant. Maybe it's causing it just like a giant Zenbon Zakara Kagayoshi effect with the flowers. But I would think that, no, it's got to be something at least a bit more interesting than that, a bit more effective. So what I think the Bankai could look like at any rate would be, he stabs it, goes Bankai. Now, to figure out what the name would be, and I'm just spitballing here, Benishidare translates into Crimson Weeping Bow. So what I could think is, what I could see happening here is in terms of the name, probably be Crimson Weeping Bow, but instead of Crimson Weeping, you'd probably get something that's like cheering or Graveyard of the Crimson Weeping Bow, something like that. That could be the name, which isn't a bad name. But more importantly, he would stab the ground, even though the flower tip kind of makes it hard to stab someone. He stabs the ground, activates Bankai, and the pollen that's around there suddenly just permeates with his Ryatsu, hits every big major point. If he's in a room, it covers the entire room. If he's in a field, the entire field is, permeated. If he's like in a forest, the trees are permeated. And instead of just the small flowers, growing, giant flowers bloom. And giant flowers bloom on the opponent who has somebody try to cut them off. But not only are giant flowers, keeping the weapon from being used or binding the opponent, they're also extremely heavy. I imagine he could actually weigh down on his opponent with the power of the flowers. And likewise, they would still have the effect of Sangi, but it'd be kind of like Hitsugaya, who pretty much has all of the abilities of his Shikai and his Bankai. There's just up to a larger degree. I feel like that'd be the same case here, where the needles would be huge in comparison. It'd be giant, like tree trunk spears of energy coming down, stabbing the opponent. So unless the opponent has an ability like a fire type Zanpakuto or an ice type that would be perfect against a plant, or just enough Ryūsei like a Kenpachi who would just be like, what the hell are you doing? It's one of those things that'd be a pretty unique ability. And I think that would actually fit pretty well with the type of character this guy is, in terms of the type of sword he has. His sword is very much described as being a defensive type Zanpakuto. It's not a Zanpakuto is designed very much for battle. It's more because he was using it more to delay the capture of the princess more than anything else. But it still has an offensive ability to it. So I feel like the Bankai would be an expression of that, where giant flowers bloom, including on the opponent, where immediately when a giant flower blooms on like the blade the opponent has, just boom, weighs it down because it's probably huge and heavy. And then more blooming, maybe even blooming on top of flowers blooming on top of flowers, weighing an opponent down. That way he can just use the final technique of, again, I think it's pronounced Sanj, maybe I can get a pronunciation here. Because I'll be honest, this technique is, it translates into scattering flowers. Again, say S-A-N-G-E. So I'm trying to think what that would be. Sanj. I'm thinking it's Sanj. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm totally okay with being wrong. But yeah, his Sanj would basically be like maybe instead of scattering flowers, it would be executioners scattering flowers or something like that. It'd be a slightly larger, more powerful version of that ability. Well, not slightly. It'd be a pretty larger ability, because it'd be like a 10 times boost. 5 to 10 times is what Bankai generally is. So instead of like just this spear, which it is, it's like a spear. It's like a giant needle. It'd be almost like a freaking tree trunk sharpened pole of just stabbing someone. So ultimately, that's kind of where I get the idea as Bankai would go. But what do you think? I mean, granted, this isn't like a very well-known character or anything like that. It's just, what else do you think this could be? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, what if, anything to do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I could do that at some point. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later, because I still got to do my what if from yesterday. Went out to see a movie, except I took my girlfriend to see Tenet. She really wanted to see it and hadn't gotten a chance to. So I didn't get around to doing the what if. But yeah, still got to redo the what if. I still got my Shinigami video. I got to pre-record my videos for tomorrow, because I no longer have Mondays off. So now I don't have this amount of time I used to do them. So, just got to schedule things out as they come. Until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.